it, and I'm looking forward to see you guys in the outreach session.
Yes, if you have like any more questions because of the time, you can simply come to our breakout sessions, and we have the Nintex team ready to answer your question there as well. And if you want the demo on the spot as well, we are more than happy to do the demo as well for you guys.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
I believe that we have some sort of promotion also for them, Andy.
Yes, maybe you say to the customers.
Yeah, definitely. We will have some promotion, and also we have one-to-one session. If you guys is willing to discuss further about your processes, we can arrange that on the spot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day, guys.
Have a good day.
Ninjas, that's the managed services provider at SRKK. So once again, I do have a couple of giveaways. So if you're fast, hopefully you can get the Jabra headsets. The first question I'm going to ask is, what is the feature that Fresh Service has that gives you a lot of the automation capabilities? Come on, let's see your answers. Okay, we will announce later who the winners are because of time. The second headset goes to the first person who can tell us what is the organization that Amin mentioned inside his case study. The first organization that he talked about. All right, give the full name. Full name, please. And now, the moment that a lot of you have been waiting for. I just checked, since this is going to be a fireside chat on cybersecurity, I just checked all my passwords, and the password to my vault that has this very precious thing inside is this. So if you can hack it by typing it very quickly in the chat, then you have a chance of getting it. So the first person who types this out accurately, 100% accurately, we will announce after this session. So this is the password in my vault. Who can type that out? Quick, 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 quick. It's a little complex. Of course, it can't be ABC123, right? Okay. Woohoo! I see. Whoa, this guy Jonathan is quick. Is that correct? I don't know. I see some answers already. You guys are quick. All right, so we will announce it later. So I'll pass the session now to Mr. Pang Wah Yin and Mr. Zul Helmi. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Wah Yin, Chief Technology Officer from SRKK, and welcome to my fireside chat about cybersecurity. I hope everyone is having a good time attending the different sessions that we have organized today. And I hope that you find many useful knowledge and takeaways from every session. So back to the topic at hand. The unpredictable economic changes that ensue from the COVID-19 pandemic have pushed many organizations to the digital age. The past year, we have seen numerous cyber incidents, ranging from massive ransomware attacks, multiple data breaches, software vulnerability exploits, purpose-built malware, right? All these attacks, while many organizations may still able to cope, cyber criminals continue to raise their stakes as they target and launch more aggressive attacks from all angles. Businesses need to look beyond temporary stopgap measures and instead anticipate the next normal. In this session, we'll be taking a deeper look to understand better what organizations will be encountering these days and how our expert panel speakers tackle these challenges to further protect businesses from such cyber incidents. So to introduce our panel speakers, I have with me on my right, Mr. Zul Helmi,
Yes.
Service Director of Fat Ninjas,
Yes.
SRKK. Zul is an experienced project manager with a long history working in the IT and services industry. He is currently responsible for managing all procedures related to identification, prioritization, and resolutions of incidents, ensuring that customers receive high-quality technical services. Joining us virtually, we have Mr. Wilix Hong, Partner Technology Strategist from Microsoft Malaysia. Wilix is a specialist in cloud infrastructure solution design and architecting with over 15 years experience in solution consultancy on data lifecycle management, security compliance, monitoring management, and analytics. Next up, all the way from Sydney, Australia, we have Mr. Justin Peter, Wolf Enterprise Security Pre-Sales Consultant of Hewlett-Packard Incorporated. Justin brings with him 20 years of experience in cybersecurity as security architect of HP. He helps customers and partners to secure their devices and users by applying least privilege and zero trust principles. Our final speaker is Mr. Praveen Prahu, Director of Sales and Partner Management, Kaseya Asia Pacific. Praveen has nearly 2 decades of rich and qualitative experience in sales, business development, and enterprise account management. He has led complex transformations and IT enabling programs with involvement from multiple implementation partners, cross-cultural contexts, and CXO stakeholders. Welcome, gentlemen. Let's dive in.
Thank you. Welcome. Hi.
So as I mentioned earlier, businesses today are facing numerous cyber attacks from all fronts, ransomware attacks, multiple data breaches, software vulnerability exploits, right? And this is ever so increasing. So perhaps you can start off by sharing one cyber attack that stands out for you. What is your take?
Okay.
And how do you foresee, these trends?
Right. I think ransomware is not a new topic. We have been hear about this ransomware from the early 90s. There's a lot of attacks been happening. There's a lot of ransomware happens here and there. So in this case, basically, even if you are a small company, it's not to say whether you are small or you are big, you will not get hit by ransomware. But it's a matter of when you will get hit and whether you are going to be ready when it happens to your businesses. In the year 2020 and the year 2021, I can see most of the customers, or at least the person that engaging with me, Revel is one of the ransomware that is quite famous, been attacking and considered quite brutal, attacking a lot of companies, asking a lot of ransomware, a lot of Bitcoin money to release back their data. So in these kind of scenarios, business owners, definitely the IT guys need to be prepared to make sure you can continue on your business. All right. So if I would like to share one of my experience recently that happens, is one of the F&B, food and beverages industries. They've been hit by this Revel recently. But how it's been hit basically is it starts the attack by the PC breach. One of the PC been hit by a viruses. Of course, need to remember, this attack will not happen in one night. It always happen in a period of times. So the IT guys already know and aware there is something not right in the PC. But probably they are busy with the day-to-day operations, a lot of issues with the managing and coordinations. There's no action taken on the PC side. So unfortunately, at one night, the hit happens. From the PC, jump to the servers, and jump to even Azure. For this case, basically the customer have on-premises and also Azure virtual machines in the cloud. But for them, they are well prepared. They are quite lucky. They have VM in Azure. So in Azure itself, they configure a policy, Azure backup, they can revert back. So more or less, in this case, even though they've been hit badly, they can manage to recover, to operate as normal. Can you imagine? Food and beverage is 24/7 operations. You see, for us, during the MCO itself, what is the most frequent business goes up? I know a lot of people will say face mask, glove, but another industry that is really booming is actually food and beverage. Why? Because we are sitting at home. We are working from home. So we always will buy something, foods, we will eat something, we will drink something. So that industry also is actually booming during the MCO period. So can you imagine for them being hit by ransomware? If they cannot recover within a few hours, how much losses they will encounter. So this is one of the real case scenario that I have been contacted with the customers and help them to recover and bring back the business up to the speed back.
Thank you, Zo. Sounds great that this customer was able to mitigate, such cyber attacks. Mr. Willix, can you share your take?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Pang.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. All the guests around, right? So thanks for the invite, right? So for this particular question, probably let me share on some statistic, right, of the malware and ransomware attack based on our Microsoft security endpoint threat report, right? So basically, we can tell that now the Asia Pacific, right, continues to actually experience a higher average malware encounter rate, right? It's about 1.6 times higher than the rest of the world. Right, so especially some developing countries, right, such as Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, and Vietnam, actually they are most vulnerable to malware and ransomware threats nowadays, right? So when it comes to the trends in Asia, so we can see the cyber criminals, right, continue to attack countries with lower levels of cyber awareness and high usage of those unlicensed or pirated software and sites and those websites that have offer illegally free software and content, right? So basically, we continue to encourage patching and installation of updates to programs and devices for all the businesses and the individuals, right? And also to ensure that all the legal software is used, right? So without the malware hidden inside, right, it will definitely decrease the malware and ransomware infections, right? So similarly, Asia Pacific continues to experience a high average ransomware encounter rate as well, right? It's about 1.7 times higher than the global average, right? So one of the points to note would be, even there is a low threat encounters we notice in those developed countries, US, Europe, right? So businesses still need to remain carefully watched for possible attacks. This is because the cyber criminal nowadays, right, the activities will not stop, and they're, instead of turning away from the conventional method, right, now they're actually shifting towards customized campaign, right, target at specific geographies, industry, and even individual businesses, right? So for Asia Pacific, right, to achieve a lower encounter rates, right, our advice is IT must continue to keep the endpoints up to date, right? Utilize the cloud storage and backups, because cloud providers have, security standard that actually comply to all the compliance and governances is in place, right? And invest in training to help users identify phishing and social engineering techniques. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Willix. Pro tip, ladies and gentlemen, don't use unauthorized or untrusted software from untrusted sources. Yeah, to avoid getting attacks. Mr. Justin, what's your take?
Yeah, look, I have to say that I don't think we can overlook the dramatic increase in ransomware and credential phishing. My belief is that it's a much bigger problem in our region in APAC than is reported. And I think that'll change as mandatory disclosure frameworks become more the norm across the region. So I mean, probably a good thing for me to do would be to share some of the insights from our latest HP Threat Intel report. There's a couple of takeaways. One was that, attackers are still very fast to weaponize an exploit and an attack, so the MS-HTML vulnerability recently, that was being exploited, and we saw, incidents of that on devices we were protecting super fast. But the main takeaway, that I'd like to share from that report was that, of all of the threats that we isolated with our Wolf security solution in Q3 of this year, right? 89% of them were delivered via email. And, 12% of the zero-day malware that came in via email that we isolated had traversed at least one gateway scanner. So, to me, it's like attackers continue to be, crafty and successful in getting malware and credential phishing links in front of users, under their nose, and users tend to click on things. And I think, from that's the stats that we have, which are pretty fresh. If I compare them to what Verizon, indicated in their data breach investigation report this year, there was a similar thing around that. Phishing has utilized quarantine, the whole work from home, hybrid work situation to really pump up its frequency. So what they were reporting is that, they're seeing that as the vector to kick off something like 36% of successful data breaches. Now that's up 25% from the year before. So I think, just in terms of trends, you can see that one's really taking off.
It's always rising, right? No downtrends?
No, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, talking about all these different devices, I think that we all know that device proliferation, right, is really widespread. There's so many billions of devices that are connected to the internet today, right? And, all these devices, ranging from laptops, printers, mobile devices, IoT connected devices. How vulnerable are such endpoints, connected to the internet? I mean, we're not talking about just corporate managed devices, but also personal devices owned by corporate users. So, how vulnerable are such endpoints or devices, and what are technology leaders, right, such as HP or Microsoft, are doing on a hardware or silicon level? So perhaps to start off, maybe I could get Mr. Praveen from Kaseya to share his thoughts.
Sure, that's a good question, Abno. Well, when it comes to endpoint security, there are multiple products in the market that provide antivirus, anti-malware, backup, and disaster recovery, even backup, patch management, and other services, of course. However, managing a lot of non-integrated point tools can overwhelm any IT teams, and which are already stretched thin because of the pandemic. A better approach is to use an endpoint management tool that is integrated with backup and security tools. This allows your teams to work in a single console to manage and secure all of your endpoints which are in the IT landscape. Your unified endpoint management solution should also allow you to see the status of each asset with regard to the AV and AM endpoint protection. And a key requirement is integrating with industry-leading antivirus and anti-malware vendors such as Bitdefender, Webroot, or any other such leading, which Kaseya already has a close integration with. With such integration, what you get is easy configuration, deployment and management of all of the AVs and AMs on the devices that are monitored from an endpoint management tool with a robust user interface. And you get complete visibility into the antivirus status of all of your endpoints. And finally, I would like to add that there is a comprehensive endpoint protection from malicious cyber attacks. So this is my humble opinion.
Thanks, Mr. Praveen. Great, offering from Kaseya. Relix, the Microsoft has, a very fantastic range of, hardware endpoint devices, such as your Surface range of products. How does Microsoft approach this whole endpoint security and management, scenario?
Well, yeah. So let me start with the endpoint vulnerable, right? So I think we all agree that endpoints are an actually easy target for hackers nowadays, right? So some of the threats that will eventually impact the business, like phishing, right, that happen in the email attachment from unknown senders, unpatched vulnerability like out-of-date antivirus or unpatched software like app and operating system, right? So the vulnerability also through the malware and advertising nowadays, right? In a short, we call it malvertising, right? So where it is actually involved placing a malware into an online advertising network and web pages. And some other vulnerabilities can be go through online downloads as well, right? That user think it is safe, right? So from Microsoft perspective, right? Microsoft has a solution like Defender for Endpoint, right? So it provides a centralized security operations experience for Windows and non-Windows platform. Right? You will be able to see alerts from various supported operating systems in Microsoft 365 Defender and better protect your organization network. So Microsoft Defender for Endpoints, right, also cover endpoints and servers that's running Windows, Mac, or Linux OSs. Right. It also provides some mobile threat defense like Android and iOS devices as well. Right. Actually, virtual desktop is also part of our supported platform under Endpoint Defender, right? So even like network devices like Cisco, Juniper, HPE, Palo Alto is actually also part of Microsoft Defender for endpoint coverage as well. Okay. So we actually continue to innovate to bring the best security information and event management and also the extended detect and response. In short, it's called SIEM and XDR, right? Together to empower the defenders with an integrated toolset and rich security intelligence, right? So first, we have this Microsoft Sentinel. Right now offer more than 100 solutions for data collection in a new content hub for easy discovery and deployment. Secondly, we also have Microsoft Defender for cloud application, cloud apps. Now add a new application governance capability that provides a security and policy management to help identify, alert, and protect against risk behavior access data across the data, user, and also the application. Right. So we do have Microsoft Defender for IoT as well. Right. So this is our agentless solution that integrated with Microsoft 365 Defender, right, to bring IoT protection into the same workflow as the rest of your extended detect and response kind of devices. Yeah.
Wow. So
That's
now
what I'm
Microsoft is not just a software and services company, you are also a security solutions provider as well. That's great to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Justin, what innovations are HP bringing to your range of products and services on the cybersecurity front?
Well, I guess, continuing on the theme about hardware enforced, security, you guys are 100% correct. The devices that were in the network in the office protected by all of these, fancy layers of protection, they're at home now. People are using their work devices also for personal stuff as well. So, if it's, a threat that's coming in via an email, it might not even go through the corporate email filters and things like that. So, and patching, clearly as well, it's, mentioned as being super important. Becomes a lot harder if your way of doing that before was like all on the internal network, right? So I believe these devices are more vulnerable today. I think that, so there's a demand for, hey, can I get the most secure device out of the box that I can get? So, if you look at some of our devices now, there's different things built into it from the hardware point of view to enable security services. So, if you're implementing a zero trust architecture, one of the things is you need to identify and authenticate the integrity of the device. You can only do that if you have a hardware-based root of trust built into the device. Right? And interestingly, that hardware-based root of trust can actually be used by, some customers now are saying, hey, how do we verify through the supply chain from assembly to delivery that this device hasn't been tampered with? So, that's built into our devices now. There's all the usual goodness around secure boot, biometric components that you can use to tighten up your authentication workflows. But I think there's two things which are really interesting, which I'd like to highlight around this hardware enforced security. One is threats and attacks against firmware. So I think in the inaugural Microsoft Security Signals report, I think it was March this year, there was a statement made that 80% of enterprises have been a victim of a successful firmware attack in the last 2 years. And of those enterprises, a third or less actually have budget allocated to addressing firmware security. Right? So these are nasty attacks. Some of them require getting access to the device. Some of them don't. One of the things that our devices have built in is basically security, below the OS, which will actually verify, all of the software used to boot the device and make sure that nothing malicious has been injected into it. Not only that, it's self-healing. So if it notices tampering, it can retrieve from an offline security chip from the motherboard of that stuff to get back up and running in a secure way. And I think the last one, which I think is really interesting, is if you're looking at a secured device, how can you leverage least privilege principles to put in hardware enforced barriers between the different types of software that's running on your device? For example, right, you don't really want an exploit in your browser being able to impact your Windows 10 device. So if you can silo them off using, hardware enforcement, you can get really good resilience.
Wow, thanks, Justin. Zero trust, everyone. Trust nothing, validate everything. Moving on, it was mentioned earlier that phishing is still one of the major factors through email, as how cyber criminals attack organizations today and leading to identity theft, data leaks. So, Zoe, yes, how secure are user identities today, and what role does password even play today, and how can organizations better protect their users' identity and passwords?
In terms of the perspective of the passwords, I think everyone also can agree, even though either you are using ABC123 or complex password as well, it's mean almost nothing, because the password itself is very easily to crack. That's the reason why we have MFA. That's why we need to have additional layer of securities. So no matter what password are you holding, even your ATM machine's password itself is not safe, right? So that's the reason why you need the ATM card. So you need to have a second authentication that the identity is really belongs to you. So please do remember any passwords that you are holding. Is there any other second methods to authenticate that you are the owner of that identity? So if we are talking about phishing, spamming, ransomwares like this, so basically for emails, the most basic security that you need to have, SPF record, DKIM, DMARC, and make sure you have MFA if possible. So that one will try to reduce the identity theft over here. So remember, the attack will not be in one night. So the password also is very easily to crack. So you need to always be aware what are happening around yourself, what is weird things happens. Definitely that's an indicator whether somebody will steal or stealing your identity over here. So best advice probably over here, please always be aware about anything weird over here. So I do hear from the other panelists, the endpoints protection, the securities, yes, very intuitive and very good advice from everybody. But of course, at the end of the day, we need to remember we are the users over here. The identity belongs to us. We need to always be aware, open our eyes, see anything weird happening besides us.
So don't simply give your passwords, when requested, and make sure you have, two-factor or multi-factor authentication.
Yes.
Yeah. Great tip. So, Mr. Pravin, any thoughts from Kaseya regarding this topic?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would like to share an interesting stat over here. 76% of SMBs will experience business disruptions as a result of security events in the next 3 years. That's quite an alarming percentage. With the ever-increasing number of devices connected to every network, the pathway for malicious agents to enter, grow by the second is growing phenomenally. The increase in technology maturity for small to SMB businesses brings with it the powerful productivity tools of the enterprise, as well as the bad guys, the bad elements in the market who will try to exploit users, networks, and their data. Small and mid-sized businesses are seeing a change here. They're seeing mature attacks at a rate previously encountered only by the large corporates and the government institutions. Unfortunately, most small businesses don't have the time, money, the staff to mount a capable defense against these malicious actors in the market. A new wave of modern next-gen security tools has risen to safeguard small businesses from phishing, ransomware, dark web compromises, and the advanced virus and malware tactics used by the bad characters or elements in the market. With comprehensive dark web monitoring, anti-phishing, including simulations to expose the employee's behavior that leads to credential theft and much more such cyber criminal activities. Coupled with the firewall, antivirus, and anti-malware, a robust patching solution, and you have a security stack that provides a complete blanket of protection. Now, Kaseya's security suite is all unified and integrated in a single platform so that they're easier to use, manage, and of course, maintain. Affordable and effective, these tools stop breaches before they even occur while preserving the ease and efficiency needed by the already overworked IT teams supporting our small and medium-sized businesses.
Mm-hmm. Great. Guys, we need to wrap up soon. So perhaps, Willix, do you mind sharing your key takeaway points or any call to actions to our audience today?
Yeah, sure, Pang. So, well, the key takeaway for me, for the audience today, cybersecurity actually important, right? Because it protects all the categories of data from thief and damage, right? Include sensitive data, personal information, intellectual property, right? Data governmental and industry information system, right? So without a cybersecurity program software, right, your organization cannot defend itself against data breach campaign. Then it will become a favorite target by the cyber criminals. So just wanted to share some guidance for the businesses, right? So to have a strong tools that safeguard employee and infrastructure. So it means looking into multi-layer defense system, right? Turning on multi-factor authentication as employees work from home nowadays, right? Almost. Additionally, enable endpoint protections and protect against shadow IT and unsanctioned app usage with solution like Microsoft Cloud App Security, right? Secondly, to ensure employee guidelines are communicated clearly to employees, right? So this includes information on how to identify the phishing attempts, right? Differentiation between the official communication and suspicious message that violate company policy, and where this can be reported internally, right? Then lastly, you choose, and most importantly, choose a trusted application vendor or supplier, right? That ensure the end-to-end encryption for your company, security landscape, right? So for individual guidance, right? So what we can suggest is that update all the devices with the latest security updates and use antivirus and anti-malware services, right? So for example, for Windows 10 devices, Microsoft Defender antivirus is actually free built-in service, right? You just need to enable it through the Windows 10 setting, all right? So secondly, be alert to links and attachment, right? Especially from those unknown sender, right? Use MFA on all accounts, right? Because now most online services provide a way to use your mobile devices, right? Or other method to protect your account in this way, right? Also get educated, right, on how to recognize phishing attempts and report suspect encounters, right? Include watching out for spelling and bad grammar, suspicious link and attachment from people that you do not know. Yeah, thanks, Pang. That's all I have to share.
Great advice, Wilix. Mr. Justin, your words of wisdom to the audience?
Yeah, just two quick things. I mean, I you know, what everyone said about multi-factor authentication, 110% agree with. You know, go home, think about it, not just in the context of work, but your personal life. You know, if you're logging into something and you just put a password, think, hey, I could be a little bit secure here. So so challenge you to sort of you know take that approach. And then I think the other thing is you know with the patching side of things, you know, it's not a fun task, but it's got to be done. And I would just say, you know, don't patch harder, patch smarter. So, you know, patch the things first that is going to protect you the most from stuff that's actually out there. And you know, I recently came across a pretty nice resource that I think everyone should be aware of. It's actually from CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Service based in the US. They've actually just published a list, and it's like known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. So it's basically, you know, how many vulnerabilities are there in the world? Wow. You know, like we don't have a calculator big enough for that. But this gives you the list of the ones that are being exploited. So I think it's a nice resource to consult for teams to go, oh, you know, my VPN's actually on this, or hey, you know, one of the applications I'm using. So get to that first.
Great. Justin, do you mind posting in the chat window the full name of this system so that our audience can check it out after the session?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Pravin, your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. So what we've always been educating our customers and our prospects is to manage and secure your endpoints efficiently, all from a single console. You know, a comprehensive endpoint management, unified remote management, monitoring capabilities are a must-have for any endpoint management tool. You should be able to remotely access devices without inconveniencing the end users and troubleshooting, you know, the IT issue in parallel. And of course, the network and domain discovery. Your endpoint management tool should discover all devices on your network, as well as find and sync with you know, the 80 domains as well. Automation, right, a key factor here. You should be able to automate installation, deploy, and update software updates and patches. The other point that I would want to, you know, stress on is the unified endpoint management tool integration with the AVs and AMs out in the market. Endpoint management tool integration with backup and disaster recovery solutions is also key, you know, in scenarios like this. Security and protection of endpoints cannot be guaranteed without a backup and disaster recovery solution, right? I guess we all agree on that. Empowering your IT teams with an endpoint management solution that allows your team to manage backup all from the same console, wow, that makes life so much more easier for the IT folks. Manage and securing your endpoints with the KSA BSA. I mean, I would like to wrap my thoughts with this last point. An endpoint and network management solution that enables you to discover and manage all of your on and off network endpoints, automate common IT processes, and remotely troubleshoot end user devices without hampering their business, which will run as usual. So these are my key takeaways for this session.
Thank you, Mr. Pravin. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The cybersecurity threat landscape is ever evolving. right? It's a constant cat and mouse game. And all of us need to stay vigilant to mitigate the impact of cyber attacks. Protecting the front door is no longer sufficient, so organizations need to really think of a multi-layer defense approach. So we've come to the end of our session. So, Willix, Justin, and Pravin, it's been an honor and my pleasure to host all of you, in this fireside chat. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause and a big thank you to our expert panel speakers for sharing their knowledge and experience. And now, I would like to invite Ingram to continue on with the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm Jolene Chin, the Cloud Lead for Ingram Micro Singapore, and I also have Sharon Ho, the Cloud Lead for Ingram Micro Malaysia, with me in this session to take any questions. Organization everywhere has experienced disruption caused by pandemic for the past year or so. Workplace transformation is the corporate talk of every organization and forums. Business continuity, security, better governance are also key priorities for all of us in this digital era. Technology-enabled digital workplace. Companies recognize the importance of digital workplace as a strategic investment. There is no hard and fast rule governing the design of your digital workplace. Consider this as a cohesive and unified technology-driven platform to manage your business-critical data, application, and computing resources. The goal is to forge productive business relationships within and beyond workgroups. The diagram aids us to think holistically about the tools we use in our workplace and identify opportunities to support a better way of doing business and adopt the right tools for employees to do their job. Smart technology will be empowered to enable employees flexibility to work from anywhere, anytime, on any device. Technology decisions are taken together with business decisions. This requires a new approach to create and manage the modern workplace. In most organizations, the digital workplace toolbox can be broadly defined into 8 categories to support the ways in which people communicate, collaborate, connect, and deliver day-to-day services. The growing use of digital services also means an increasing amount of data. Technology and automation are inevitable to manage the flood of compliance evidence on one hand, and protection of data from known and unknown threats. Beyond setting strategy and building a secure digital workplace, organizations must also develop a governance model that supports connectivity and collaboration while mitigating risks. One of the most evident signs of this shift in the way how people work in today's business environment is, on average, a typical office worker may have 5 to 6 devices, including PCs, smartphones, smartwatches, and everything in between. For employees, this is welcome news because it let them get work done no matter where they are, on whatever device they may be, without much delay. On the other hand, this is an ever-increasing risk of more advanced threat and a sense of watching the security parameters dissolve. For this, I would like to share Microsoft Unified Endpoint Management Solution, which is available as part of Microsoft 365. Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager and Intune already manage over 150 million devices all over the world. They work together to bring the depth of management and agility of the cloud services to the challenging task of securing your modern workplace. Microsoft continues to be the trusted platform for best management on Windows, leading the industry in support for latest device management APIs in Windows 10. Using co-management or tenant attached with Microsoft Intune, they accelerate the shift to Windows 10 and simplify your Windows as a service strategy. Most importantly, the native integration with other Microsoft 365 security products, user can be ensured of an end-to-end security for Microsoft 365 apps and other applications. With Microsoft Intune App Protection Policy, you can protect application and data even if devices themselves are not managed. Integration with Endpoint Protection Toolkit isolates any infected devices and block access before the attack has a chance to spread, protecting the network. The first step in any digital transformation is to get the devices in the hands of users and working as expected. This has been a high-touch activity where IT admin must set up each device, perform the security checklist, and hand over to authorized users. Often, the users must wait while their device or access is enabled on a dozen separate servers and systems, taking days, if not weeks, before they start work. Microsoft now has you up and running within minutes, helping you set up, maintain building blocks of the workplace with minimum effort. From deploying the operating system, customizing the application and setting, to config security policy per the organization needs, it is all automated and hands-free. Microsoft Secure Score is another tool to make this easier by helping you understand your security position posture, giving you advice on what control you should consider enabling, and helps you understand how your score compares to other organizations. This is a unique facility available to all Microsoft 365 customers at no additional cost. To share some statistics, 81% of the data breaches involve weak credential. Identity is the head breach for hackers and security. Conditional access enables you to limit access by controlling what data can be accessed, by whom, and on which device. 80% employees use non-approved SaaS at work, creating opportunities for sensitive data to fall in the wrong hand. In fact, a study found more than 50% workers have accidentally shared data with the wrong person. Microsoft Intune provides the visibility and control over information protection policy across Microsoft 365 application on any device. Using artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, giving your organization the much needed edge to prevent attacks even before they cause any damage. The value of Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph is visible in various ways, from the security baseline in Intune to the zero-day malware protection in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. Unified endpoint management is at the center of Microsoft 365 machine, working in concert to keep you safe from known and unknown security threats. Data protection technology are built right into the productivity apps, so there is no additional loops to jump, whether on desktop or mobile devices. End users work naturally they want, enjoying the familiar and powerful capabilities of Outlook, Excel, OneDrive, Teams, and any numbers of Microsoft 365 apps on their favorite platform. There are no bridge apps or custom workaround to share data between the apps. It just works. From an IT admin point of view, users provisioning is faster and simpler, thanks to the single sign-on with Azure Active Directory. including access to on-premises resources using Azure App Proxy, integration with other first-party technologies such as Windows Autopilot, Microsoft Information Protection, Microsoft Threat Protection, Microsoft Edge, simplify the configuration and rollout for all IT admin. Microsoft Intune customers regularly enroll hundreds of thousands of devices in less than a week and realize the faster to time to value from their investment. So what does this mean for IT? The complexity for IT comes from establishing a balance between user expectation, need for access, and ease of use, while maintaining responsibility for enforcing corporate policy and the security parameters. We have two options for enforcing security policy on mobile devices: Intune Mobile Device Management, MDM, and Intune Mobile Application Management, MAM. In both cases, once data access is granted, we want to control what the user does with the data. For example, if a user accesses a document with a corporate identity, we want to prevent that document from being saved in an unprotected consumer storage location, or from being shared with a consumer communication on a chat app. With Intune MAM policy in place, they can only transfer or copy data within trusted apps, such as Office 365 or Adobe Acrobat Reader, and only save to the trusted locations such as OneDrive and SharePoint. Intune App Protection Policy, APP, protects corporate data even if the device itself is not managed. It enables bring your own device to work, where users may be reluctant to enroll their devices. At the same time, ensure corporate data cannot be copied, pasted to personal apps within the device. Protecting your data requires you to create policies that intelligently adjust to the various risk scenarios. With conditional access, you can define policy that will limit access to your corporate data based on location, device state, user profile, and application sensitivity. This policy can adapt to real-time conditions based on monitoring of perceived risks using advanced Microsoft machine learning. Policy can challenge user with multi-factor authentication, MFA, device enrollment, or user change, password change. To ensure that only trusted users on compliant devices can access sensitive corporate data. Our unique approach to data protection allows us to protect data at app level, without the need for traditional sandboxing, containerization. And because we leverage the user identity in our approach, we can enable multi-identity usage of apps, where app policies are intelligent enough to only apply to data applicable to corporate accounts. Capabilities here include app encryption at rest, app access, safe as copy-paste restriction, app-level selective wipe, managed web browsing, secure viewing of PDF, images, or videos. Intune has been working directly with the Microsoft 365 team to define app protection strategy. Intune is the only mobility management solution that can control Microsoft 365 apps with this much granular control and without compromising on the end user experience. Sometimes you need very restrictive access to resources, but sometimes you only need minimum control, especially if you want to keep users productive. With EMS, you can get the tools to deliver on both scenarios. As mentioned earlier, with conditional access, you can define policy that will limit access to your corporate data based on location, device state, user profile, and application sensitivity. This policy can adapt to real-time conditions based on perceived risk. For example, the machine learning-based Azure AD Identity Protection, which leverage millions of signals daily, can detect suspicious behavior and trigger control to allow or block user access. Policy can also challenge user with MFA, device enrollment, or password change to ensure that only trusted users on compound devices can access sensitive corporate data. Enhancing employee productivity begins the second a user tries to connect a device to your network. With Intune in EMS, you can simplify this process by setting up any device remotely, whether it's an iOS, Android, or Microsoft. So your employees can start work right away, and EMS help employees stay productive. With automated updates that makes for a virtually transparent management experience. You can remotely set up everything from device configuration to access and enrollment policies like configuration policies, device compliance policies, conditional access policies, corporate device enrollment, and resources access policies. It also supports search of apps and books, search history, enhanced filtering available with or without enrollment. There is no need to enter Safari web view if MDM is enrolled. Once they're off and running, EMS let your employees stay productive with self-serve option. They can use the company portal to enroll a device or unenroll a device. Reset password, download apps, or join and manage group, all without waiting for assistance from the help desk, saving time for both. The meaning of devices has evolved in the modern workplace, with IT expected to support not only corporate PCs, but also bring your own devices. And also manage kiosks, digital signage, share single-purpose devices, phone room resources, collaboration devices such as Surface Hub. Microsoft Intune is the most comprehensive unified endpoint management platform to manage and secure endpoint in your organization. The Microsoft Intune device-based subscription lowers the total cost of ownership for shared resources. The Intune ecosystem has grown over 100% in the past year, and Microsoft continues to add trusted partners for various capabilities. The goal is to strengthen protection and encourage choice for their customer so that they can deliver the best experience to their end users. Microsoft has been recognized as a leader in the unified endpoint management by all major analysts such as Gartner, IDC. The link to third-party reports are available on websites. The momentum continues to grow with Microsoft, now managing over 150 million devices worldwide and growing at 4 times the nearest competitor for unified endpoint management. To help you comply with national, regional, and industrial-specific regulation, the collection and use of individual data, Microsoft actually offers the most comprehensive set of compliance offering for any cloud service provider. The key takeaway why Microsoft is the most suited tool for managing your modern workplace. With Microsoft Endpoint Manager, Microsoft continues to be the trusted platform for best management on Windows, including the unique co-management and tenant attached with Microsoft Intune and Configuration Manager. Microsoft is recognized as the leader for managing iOS, Android, Mac OS, and ruggedized devices, in addition to the Windows. Most importantly, thanks to the native integration with other Office 365, Microsoft 365 security products. Users can be assured of an end-to-end security for Microsoft 365 apps and other applications. With Microsoft Intune App Protection Policy, you can protect application and data, even if devices themselves are not managed. The Microsoft Endpoint Manager customers get the faster returns from key projects, be it Microsoft 365, cloud migration, rolling out services to hundreds of thousands of mobile users globally, or meeting regulatory compliance to protect data on millions of devices and apps with only a few clicks. And with this leads to my end of the sharing of the secure modern work. Again, thank you for taking your time to attend this session. And remember to scan the session code. Thank you.
With us for the last 2.5 days. I think it has been a really, really great virtual conference. It's our first time doing something at this scale, and it's been exciting to just connect these thought leaders with every single person. I believe we've gotten a lot of value out of the productivity sessions as well as cybersecurity. So the intention of this virtual conference is not to stop here, but it's actually to help you to utilize your budget wisely if you still have remaining budget for technology for 2021, and also to start putting in place how you would like to spend your dollars for the year going forward. So do connect with your account managers or representatives with SRKK and Integricity so that you can help to start this journey of planning or utilizing your budgets. Okay, so we've come to the point where everyone's interested in. I will announce some of the winners for some of the prizes. So just to recap earlier on, there was a prize for the person who mentioned the flagship product of Kaseya. That's Kaseya VSA. And the fastest person was Chi Kang Go from OI BJC Glass, Malaysia. So congratulations. And then there's also a winner who mentioned the IT documentation software from Kaseya. It's IT Glue. So the winner is Andrew Cassell from Adventist Health. Congratulations. And earlier on, we had winners for the Jabra headsets. So remember the two headsets? Actually, I'm feeling really like Santa Claus today. So the first winner is Cyril. Congratulations. And the second winner is, drum roll please, Alex Tan, who mentioned orchestration. Okay, so just get in contact with our team here so that you can pick up your prizes. And the person who cracked into my safe, who walks away with this drone, you can play with it maybe next weekend, is Jonathan from Mautako MS Sendirian Berhad. Congratulations, Jonathan. Okay? And now, the moment that many of us have been waiting for, the grand prize from Jabra, which is the Panacast. I'm going to ask the two people who collected the most number of codes to come on screen. We have made you presenters, so I'm going to flip a coin. So the two of you are Suharizan and Eileen Wang. Can you please turn on your camera and unmute yourself?